Yeah, dude, I would have been pissed. No, okay, so I'll go ahead and just briefly reiterate what I was saying. Welcome to the Action Jack-Offs podcast. This is Garrett and Lincoln. This is the show where
Oh,
we talk
sorry,
about.
sorry. Are we live?
No, yeah.
No,
Uh,
man, you son of a bitch.
God damn it. No, okay, so we're doing Predator this week. We're talking about the best and favorite action movies of all time. Predator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, directed by John McTiernan. We're doing a duology. John McTiernan directed both this movie and he also directed Die Hard. We're going to be talking about Die Hard next week. Talking about Predator right now. We're going to go ahead and get into some of our initial thoughts and feelings about this movie. I'll let you go first, bud.
So, I'm gonna be honest. We talked a little bit behind the scenes. Could we do movies without having watched them? And I thought about doing this completely blind.
Uh
But I would be a fool to deny myself the pleasure
huh.
of
Yeah.
this testosterone based cookie that they just force fed us in the 80s. And
Yes.
goodness gracious, does it taste better every time?
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time, dude.
I was just like, I was just like, no, I'm not gonna watch it. I'll watch a clip or two. And then that clip
Sat
turned
down and
into
watched the whole
many
thing.
clips, which turned into just downloading or putting the old DVD into the Xbox.
I gotcha.
And then
No.
rewatching it
Multiple
upon
times.
waiting for your arrival.
Oh, it's
And
so funny.
goodness gracious, do I just want to do push ups after I watch that movie?
Oh, I know. Yeah, no, I love this movie, and I feel the same way because it's so funny because I was rewatching the movie on Monday, and I kept saying to myself, I was like, "Holy shit, this movie is fucking good!" Like, I
This movie rocks.
this movie's fucking amazing, and no wonder we're talking about it. But like, it's so funny how every time I watch a movie like this, I always say to myself, like, "Man, I cannot believe just like how amazing this movie is on a technical level." On a storytelling level, on an action level, obviously, and then it's so funny too because like the one of the things that always sticks with me are the performances in this movie. This movie has some of the best uh, action movie performances I've ever seen from Arnold, from Carl, from Bill Duke, from Jesse Ventura, like uh, uh,
Sunny Landon.
yeah, like Sonny Landham. All these guys are just killing. Shane Black, and I forget the guy that plays Ramirez. His name escapes me at the moment, but all these guys are turning in like these just badass performances. It's so good. It's so great. And that's just one of the things that always sticks with me when I think about this movie. And obviously, like the Predator and stuff too. The Predator always sticks with me. It's one of the most iconic movie monsters of all time, which is just another feather in this film's cap. Um, what do you love most about this movie? Like what sticks with you when you think about this movie?
Uh, probably just the last half of it.
Yeah.
Whenever he's fighting, whenever the predator reveal, the the iconic one liners,
Yes.
the
So many.
action is like. Upon my rewatch this, I realized that a lot of scenes were not in the order that I necessarily remembered them in, at least in the beginning half.
Uh-huh.
Like I well, first of all, I don't think I ever saw the opening shot of where it goes Predator and then the spaceship sends the Predator down. I
Yeah,
don't
like
think
where do you
I've
see
ever
that?
seen that shot. I think I've just seen it on TV so many times that I just missed that bit or came in later or something.
Yeah.
But them finding the bodies, I thought that happened after they fought the little encampment.
The
The
rebels.
yeah, the when they fight the rebel force, I thought they found the skin bodies after that. Like just little stuff in the
Little stuff.
beginning.
Little
I just it
Mandela
was a
effects.
little yeah.
Well,
Where
you
I was
know
just like, that's not. Wait a minute, is that edited for TV or am I just dumb?
what's funny about that is I had something similar happen where for years I thought that the mission Carl Weathers was trying to send them on, Dylan, I thought what his mission
Hmm.
was he was trying to find the predator. And then that turned like
Yeah,
and then obviously on this most recent rewatch I like reminded myself that nobody has any knowledge of the predator going into the jungle. Like they're
Yeah,
there.
it's not
They're
until the second one
yeah. That's what I
that
was.
they're kind of looking for him.
That's where I got messed up. Is that I'm thinking of the second
Hmm.
one where I'm thinking of like the government that's trying to find the predator. For some reason, I keep thinking that's what Carl Weathers was trying to do in the movie, and it turns out he's trying to do something completely different that has nothing to do with any of that. And that's something that always confused me.
It gets you. It gets you every time.
Yeah. Other things that I like about this movie, I just really like that the predator doesn't.
The testosterone.
Yeah, I also just really like the testo. I love the testosterone. I love the action scenes, and we'll get into it. But I just really love the fact that the predator's not even like really in the movie for like a good 45 minutes.
It's the good Jaws effect.
It is like
When there's something happening behind the scenes,
because we know something's there,
and you, hmm
but the guys
and I love
don't.
the effect.
Love the effect. The effect's great. It's actually
Hmm.
funny because the predator in the full costume and effect only appears on screen for a total of like 8 minutes.
It's the Jaws, Godzilla. They just got it's a perfect little thing where they and it feels like it's been there the whole time because we've been looking through his eyes and his vision and whatnot.
And we see him more when he's like in his like camouflage. Love the
Hmm.
effects in this movie, especially the camouflage too. I think they really played with that the way they should. Um,
And I think it looks the best out of all of them, which is funny thinking that it looks the best in the 80s, the camouflage effect, and that they've been trying to replicate it the whole time and can't get it right, kind of like the Michael Myers mask.
true, true, very true. I mean, it's a really interesting effect. If I remember how they did it, they basically like filmed the jungle on like a wider lens. They filmed the actor in like an all red suit so it would stand out against the jungle background. Filmed the background in a wider lens of camera and then put the filter of the background over the actor so when it was played against the wider lensed background shots, it would stand out.
Hmm.
So that's basically that's like a I mean I'm probably getting some of that wrong and not like including the whole picture. That's
Hmm.
basically how they did the effect.
It's one of those like backdoor tricks that you used to be able to do on film that you can't really do digitally anymore.
Correct. Yeah, no, I mean it's really fascinating. Obviously the predator costume itself is really fascinating. That was again bringing up someone that's been on the show, not someone who's been on the show, but someone we've mentioned on the show before.
Yet,
Um,
yet, if you're
yeah,
out there
yeah,
listening,
Stan Winston, who did
rest in peace,
did the
our guy.
he did the effect he did the effects for the creature suit. He did the effects for the predator suit. He designed it, and he and his team built it and created it. Let's see here. Yeah, Stan Winston did that. Apparently, his team apparently really hated doing it. They were working on something else, but apparently they really hated working on the Predator. I don't really know why. I think they just thought it was going to be super B movie, which seems to be another recurring theme on the show is people working on these really famous, iconic movies and then ending up finding out behind the scenes they actually hated working on it. Um, Before we get into the categories, I just had some brief things I just thought were really interesting. Actually, it'd probably be better if we just went ahead and got into the categories and then I talk about these really interesting things. What do you think?
Hey, it's up to you, buddy. It's your show.
I think it's our show. What are you talking about, you goofball?
I know. I'm just kidding. Let's get into the categories, buddy. What are we
All
doing
right,
here?
let's go ahead and get into the categories. Starting off with favorite still frame. Talking about our favorite stills in the movie that just really stand out to us. Do you want to go first?
Oh, it's got to be the memed to death clasping of the two muscular arms.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really
The
good one.
Dylan, you son of a bitch, and then and it's just the most muscular, manliest. Like I felt like I got more chest hair looking at that
That was great. That was really great. Yeah, I love that one. That's a good one. I feel like that's the one you and I do like all the time in real life.
all the time. Every time I see him, Dylan.
It's funny you always say the full line too.
Yeah.
The
you don't
CIA
just
got
go
you pushing too many
you don't
pencils.
just you got to do the full thing. You can't just go you son of a bitch or you
That's
pushing too many. You got to go.
jumping
You
ahead.
son of a bitch.
Jumping ahead to my favorite movie memories. That interaction we share is one of my favorite memories of this movie.
Oh, it's great. Oh,
Because
it's
it's
great.
literally every time we see each other. It's so funny.
We have to.
Did you have another one?
Oh, still frames.
Yeah.
No, I pretty much saw that and was like, well, it's the one, it's the meme. If
Yeah.
not, it was gonna be the. I didn't write it down, but the when the predator takes its mask off for the first time.
I've got that one down. Yeah. I've got that's at 1 hour 35 minutes 49 seconds. We see the Predator in all his glory when he it's
Hell
like right
yeah, we do.
after it's like him in like the full body mask off. It's right after Arnold tells him he's like one ugly motherfucker. Really good interaction there. My other one is at 34 minutes 45 seconds. Predator holds that scorpion in his hand, and it's in like
In
the
the
it's like
infrared,
yeah, it's in the infrared vision he
I
has.
love it.
Yeah, that's really badass looking. Um, Obviously, there's like other ones I didn't write down. Like whenever like we see Arnold Schwarzenegger for the first time in the movie, and he's like on the helicopter, and he's like smoking that
Just lighting
cigar.
his dog.
Yeah,
He's lighting his dog.
yeah. Which apparently is not actually even lit because according to like helicopter safety rules, you're not allowed to smoke on a helicopter. So it's Arnold with a cigar in his mouth, but they had it like rigged to where there's like a little light on the end of it.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's just a fun little tidbit there. But that's it for my favorite still frames. We're gonna go ahead and get into number one liners, our favorite one liners in the movie. And
We've
god damn, this
we've
movie has
already
a
gone
lot.
through a few.
This movie's got a lot. There's a lot left
We've
over.
already been through a few. Hey, you better stick around till we get done.
Yeah, shit, knock knock. No, yeah, we already mentioned pushing too many pencils. I've got oh man, the guy Jesse Ventura plays. Oh, hold on. This is the
Mhm.
perfect opportunity for me to fix the chat now that somebody's in here. What up, Marv?
Marv, we're back again with Marv.
Perfect. Perfect.
You're perfect. Absolutely perfect, down to the last minute detail.
Perfect. Oh, I still haven't seen season 4 yet. No spoilers.
I haven't even seen season three.
It is actually super effective. I love it. We're doing great, Marv. We're just getting into our number one liners here. We already mentioned. Oh yeah, Jesse Ventura's character. I forgot his character's name. God, what's wrong with me?
Hey,
It's
you
like
can do it.
Blaine. Blaine is his name. So there's Blaine. And he has so many. He has so many funny lines. He's such an over the top character. My favorite one that I actually use as often as I can in real life is "I ain't got time to bleed."
You got time to take cover?
Yeah, that's a good retort too. Oh, that guy's name, by the way, that says that back to him is Richard Chavez. Um, so I just wanted
Playing
to give him,
Poncho.
yeah, Poncho. I just want to give him his shout out. Um, like you already mentioned, stick around during the compound breakup. I already mentioned you are one ugly motherfucker. This is a famous one. If it bleeds, we can kill it. That's a good one.
Hmm.
Um, there's the one that I'm gonna say the last part, but I can't say the first part because it's a little outdated. It's when Blaine says, "You bunch of slack jawed, you know what's." Um, and he
And
says,
he
"This
spits his on his shoe.
stuff will turn you into a sexual tyrannosaurus like me." Um, that right
That's
there,
one nasty habit.
yeah, dude. Every line of this movie is gold. And then, of course,
It is so good.
the most famous catchphrase, Arnold's favorite catchphrase, according to him, is "Get to the chopper."
Get to the job.
Yep, can't forget about that one. It's not even really a one-liner. It's really only famous because of like how he says it.
Uh-huh.
Um,
And he does say it multiple times where it's just like, man, he really wanted her to get to the chopper or something.
yeah, and it's really interesting because it's funny because like unlike something like "I'll be back," it really is not that useful of it's not that versatile of a one
Yeah,
liner.
you can't bring it into any conversation.
Oh my god, dude, do you remember, did you see the 2018 Predator? Like the
The
Predator?
Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you remember that scene in that dumb shit? That movie's like so like
I love
dumb.
it.
I love it. It's so dumb.
I
I
love
love
it.
it. But you remember that scene
Uh
where they
huh.
were all like running? They saw like the motorcycles and they were like, "Quick, get to the choppers!"
Yeah,
I was like,
I love that movie.
dude,
It's so crazy.
that movie sticks with me, man. That movie, they did
I
something.
rem-
And what's even funnier is that that movie is directed by Shane Black, the guy that
yeah,
plays
who's in this movie?
the guy that plays God, what was his name? I'm forgetting everybody's name.
Hawkins.
Hawkins, yeah. He plays
Hawkins.
Hawkins in the movie, the guy with the glasses. So he directed The Predator, and I've got some fun more tidbits about Shane Black later. But I think that's it for number one liners. Did you have anything else?
I'm sure. I mean, we even did the "if you give away our position"
We did that one
feel a
too.
second ago.
Yeah, yeah. There's a
We
lot.
got this. It's just one of those movies.
There's so many great one-liners in this
Oh,
movie.
wait. I do like it's not a one-liner, it's an exchange, but whenever Billy's talking about how he's afraid and he's just like there's something in this jungle and it ain't no man.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. There's so many good lines. Up next, we're getting into cutting room floor, the category where we talk about things that we wish were cut from the movie or things we wish were left in. What do you got?
So, here's my thing. This movie's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Down to the last minute detail.
Obviously, obviously.
There's one shot in this movie that both times when I was rewatching it this last week,
Uh huh.
especially today, there's when they're exiting the helicopters.
Okay.
So they're exiting the helicopters. It looks awesome. All the exterior shots, them hanging out with the red lights. For some reason, there's one shot with a green screen of them trying to get out on the ropes, and
Mm.
it's blaringly terrible to me for some reason.
Wow.
Where I was
Interesting.
like, that took me out. Why did everything else looks awesome? The helicopters going through the jungle and everything, and then there's this one VFX shot, and I hate it.
Huh.
I I hate it.
Wow. That's so funny. I didn't even really pick up on that.
You did. It's just something that I've noticed through the hundreds of times watching it, and every time I see it, it makes me mad because I just love how practical the whole beginning and military parts of it look, and then there's just this one green screen shot that it eats me alive.
I gotcha. Well, that's so
Just take
funny.
it out.
When you were
Take
talking
it out.
about the scene you wish to take out, and for a second, I had thought you and I had like the same shot.
I was like, in the back of my head, I was like, "There's no way.
There's no way. No, no. Now hearing it, I'm like, no, there's absolutely no way. Um,
There's absolutely no way."
Mine, the one that I wish,
I was like, "This mine's very niche."
the scene that I wanted cut is actually the very opening shot where you see the spaceship crash on Earth.
See, I really liked it. Well, I think I was a little bit biased because I'd never had seen it. That I was just like, I like this.
Let me give my reasoning, and then maybe it might change your mind. I like the
Do you think
fact if you cut that scene out, then
you have no idea that
then
there's an
you
alien?
have no idea that there's an alien.
I did think that
Be-
because my movie memories to step on it was growing up watching this on cable and being like, oh, the last 30 minutes, let's Predator, and I never saw that, and I didn't know when I very first watched it that there was an alien in it.
yeah,
I
that's
thought that they were going to be fighting I thought they were going to be fighting like a jungle cat or like something until the cloaked predator
monster,
shows
yeah,
up.
credit. And it's so funny too
Yeah.
because I feel like because obviously like you rewatch it now, like you see it. If you catch it on
Mhm.
like halfway through the movie on TV, like you don't catch it, or if you saw it in theaters,
Mhm.
you'll see it. But to me, it's one of those things where like you don't really see the predator until
Until almost an hour in.
almost till yeah until almost like 45 minutes. It's well like you get hints of it, Like you get like we talked
Hmm.
about earlier, like you see like the dead skinned people hung from the helicopter or whatever, and like you get indications that there's something more extreme going on than just these rebel soldiers that they're going up against. Um, and then like once they fight them and kill them, and they save, make it through, they save the day or whatever. And then you realize there's still like an hour of movie left. You're like, well, what's going on?
You're
And
like,
then
huh?
and then you get like these flashes that you see something following them. Uh, and then like you get like glimpses of the predator's hand when he picks up the scorpion, and like all this stuff would be so much more impactful if we didn't already know that there was an alien in the movie in the very like first few seconds. Um, but that's just my 2 cents on that. Um,
I love a hot take.
what's funny, Marv? Marvelous Misadventure just said, "Yo, do you know that it is actually super effective to use mud to block your body heat? It's been proven how scary little mud you actually need to hide from thermal." Um, what I have to say to that is that it's actually interesting.
Have you ever seen the episode of MythBusters where they disproved it?
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
That's so funny.
they're like, this doesn't work at all.
That's so funny. No, what I was gonna say was that apparently, like one of the things that so this movie was like notoriously like difficult to film because they actually shot on location in Central America. Um,
And tried to use real thermal
they did try to
cameras.
use real thermal cameras and it didn't work. No matter what they did, so they had to come up with some bullshit. But one of the things that was awful to work with was the mud. The mud was apparently
Hmm.
super awful to work with because one, the mud and the water too, in Central America at this time of year was super cold. So Arnold would be slathering his whole body in mud and it would be freezing. And there were heat lamps. They brought heat lamps on the set just so that people could stay warm. But if you didn't get the take right or you were too cold and you tried to stand by the heat lamp, then the mud would dry. And then it wouldn't look good for the shot, so you'd have to scrape it off and reapply mud to yourself. Um, so you'd
It
effectively.
sounds like so much fun.
It sounds like a bunch of shit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It sounds awful, and apparently there's so many more things about the shooting of this movie that was just awful to deal with. Um, but it's just so crazy. It's just interesting. But yeah, I'd like to check out that MythBusters episode to really get into it. But um,
Oh, I love it.
moving on
It's really
to
funny because they can't use any of the film from Predator,
no,
so they're just like talking about it.
that's so. You have to like do what we're doing, where you just hope people
Yeah,
rewatched it beforehand.
yeah.
uh, oh yeah, and leeches too. Leeches were in the water. That's another thing that they had to put up with.
No, I
Yeah,
didn't know that one.
yeah,
I
that's
heard that some of them got sick, and I've heard that mud story, but I didn't know there was leeches in there too. That's awful.
pretty much everybody on the crew got
Got
dysentery
sick.
except for
Yeah, yeah.
Arnold and John McTiernan.
So funny.
But only because they were so paranoid that they were actually going to get sick, and it happened. There
Hmm.
were there were I know I'm getting into a
Yeah,
tangent here, but apparently there were also, because they shot on location in Central America, they shot so on location that there were actually rebels shooting in the distance. You could hear gunfire in the middle of the night.
that's wild.
So all this
Where
shit, all this shit that was happening, is actually taking place in like an actual war zone
it's ridiculous.
or adjacent to it. It's insane. Um,
They're actually just right over the border.
exactly. Like you could literally, like,
Yeah.
apparently that was one of the conditions that Stan Winston and company, like his special effects company, hated, and they had to play pranks on each other just to get over the humdrum of like all the shit that was going on. It's so funny.
Hmm.
But that's like a whole thing, and we might be able to get into more of it later if there's anything left to say. I just said like a whole bunch. um, but uh, another thing that is really interesting about the cutting room floor category, getting back to that, um, some of the things that I thought were really interesting is one, uh, the original script, one was actually going to be called Hunter, but they changed it
which
to
makes way more sense.
way more sense. But they changed it to Predator, which I assume was only
Sounds
because
cooler.
sounds cooler. Exactly.
It's
Two,
the whole scene in The Predator where they're just like, Hunter makes way more sense, and they're like, yeah, but we voted on it.
yeah.
Booyah.
um, two is how the original script only had the Dutch Schaefer character, Arnold's character, versus the Predator. It was only one man versus the Predator. Arnold taking a page out of Sylvester Stallone's notebook and just kind of like helping to rewrite the script a little bit. He didn't get a credit, but he definitely suggested that they change it to where there's a whole unit versus the Predator, which makes more sense in hindsight. And then the last one, this is
Well,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, that's from the original idea of it being, well, Rocky's fighting has fought everybody, so Rocky should fight an alien in Rocky Five, and then
Yeah,
that idea gets passed around a few times and reworked, and then they're like, what if Arnold fights an alien?
that's true. Yeah, that it the basically all of Predator stemmed from a joke about who Rocky was going to fight next. Because this was just after
And
Rocky 4.
terribly, we got Rocky Five.
Rocky
Unfortunately, we got
versus
actual Rocky
himself.
Five instead.
Yeah,
Versus versus
it's
the
an inner
streets.
battle. Um,
It's an inner battle, street fight.
but the last thing that I had to add for cutting room floor is probably the most famous um, change. This actually happened during production, but I just want to briefly mention it. The man that was initially slated to play the Predator was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Our boy,
Our boy, who will
Umate.
inevitably end up in a future episode of Action Jack-Offs, but for now he's merely
I mean, I hope
yeah, no, for now he's merely a passing
not.
glance. Jean-Claude Van Damme
A passing glance.
he was originally cast to play the Predator, the idea being that the physical action star would use his martial arts to make the Predator an agile, ninja like hunter. However, the original design for the Predator was too cumbersome and difficult to manage in the jungle, and Van Damme couldn't make the required movements in it. Additionally, it was reported that Van Damme constantly complained about the monster suit being too hot, causing him to pass out, allegedly, while also voicing his reservations on numerous occasions about the fact that he would not be appearing on camera without the suit. Van Damme was finally removed from the film officially for no other reason except for the fact that he was way shorter than Arnold Schwarzenegger and all the other cast members. Jean Claude Van Damme is only 5'9". Arnold comes in at 6'2", and the tallest of them, which I assume is Jesse Ventura, was 6'5". Uh, Jean Claude Van Damme was replaced by Kevin Peter Hall, who is 7'2", and the suit was redesigned because even with a more imposing actor, it was felt to not provoke enough fear, which of course eventually led to the more like iconic mandible design for the Predator's face and stuff. Iconic. But that was just it. Apparently, there's still some shots in the movie that have like movements or elements of Jean Claude Van Damme. I don't know how true that is. That might just be a rumor. But apparently, Jean Claude Van Damme was on set, and they did try shooting with him, and it just was impossible to really make happen.
You could find some clips of it. It's a really silly suit.
You see a lot of it more in the documentary If It Bleeds, We Can Kill It,
Yeah, yeah.
where they go
Hmm.
into like a lot of the behind the scenes. It's a good watch. Um, but moving on, we're getting into the good stuff. We're talking about best explosion. What is your best explosion, Lincoln?
Whenever they're at the rebel camp, it's just explosions galore. You can't even pick a favorite one. They're throwing grenades. They're shooting guys in helicopters and throwing grenades into dead bodies.
Blowing shit
They're
up.
blowing up the gas cans.
Yep.
They're just obliterating people. It's amazing.
Yep. I had the same. I had the same thing. Whole sequence against the gorillas was what I put down. But then, as an honorable mention, I had to put this in there when the predator blows itself up.
Oh yeah,
It's so okay.
it's
Hold on.
you
I
gotta
gotta
have it
address this. I
there.
gotta
It's
address
like
this. Marvelous Misadventure. Just because it's cheesy does not mean it's not good. Okay. That's what we're here
It
for.
means it's not great.
It means if you don't like it, then I don't know what to tell you. Because I think no, no. I'll make an actually like
Oh,
serious point here.
here we go.
I'll say this.
Classes
That
in
scene
session.
is important because it helps subvert expectations later. Because the whole point of the movie is to have these super badass, mega testosterone, masculine men, uh, because do all this crazy shit, blow shit up, go through like the traditional like, spray and pray
Action
type
hero
of deal.
jargon.
The
So that when they start getting scared, that's when you know it's got real.
Exactly. Like once then you realize that they ain't shit compared to the predator, and the predator is hunting these super badass guys. It basically turns them into jobbers, and now we're all like, oh man, the predator's just fucking crazy. Um,
It's amazing.
yes, I agree. The predator's parrot
Hey,
gun
I
is
just watched Project Almanac the other day
oh
because
yeah,
I love cheese.
yeah. Um, best stunt. What did you have?
Uh, so I didn't have one in particular, but it was again the gorillas. Whenever they're fighting the gorillas, there's so many people that are just doing like front flips off of something into water or onto the ground, or getting shot with like 100 squibs on their body,
Yeah,
or like all of the people on fire. Like that whole sequence is just crazy. They're doing all the stunt people are doing everything in that shot. Every single possible stunt that you could pull off is happening,
yeah, they're kicking
except for
ass.
like a car crash.
I was gonna put that
And they
too.
even have the car explode.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna put that too because I think that whole sequence just kind of covers like a lot of our best of categories, in terms of like traditional action. Um, but for best stunt, I had what you had, but I also wanted to include some other stuff. Um, apparently, so this one I couldn't find much in my research to corroborate. But the only scene where anyone was actually hurt on the film is the bit where Dutch slides down the hillside and falls into the river. The stuntman apparently threw his knee out while falling. Um, and I just like to give a shout out to any stuntman that went through something and suffered. Unfortunately, I for the life of me I could not find the name of the stuntman that acts as Arnold's stunt double in that particular sequence. Um, but shout out to that. And in terms of stunts, I just wanted to briefly mention this. Stunt director Craig R. Baxley, who worked on this film, well, no, uh, stunt director Craig R. Baxley was friends with Joel Silver, who produced this movie. They both went on to work together to create Action Jackson for
Oh,
1988,
with
starring Carl Weathers as the
Earl
title
Weathers,
killer,
our boy.
Bill Duke as Captain Armbuster, and Sonny Landham as Mr. Quick.
Got the gang back together.
Exactly. So, and Action Jackson is the inspiration for the name of this podcast.
It's a full circle moment we're having.
Yeah, so and I guarantee you, Lincoln, I swear on my life, we are gonna do Action Jackson sooner rather than
I
later.
mean, we have to. I would love to do a cocaine rehab movie.
But I love that movie so much, and it's just funny to think that
It's good.
Action Jackson, one of my favorite sleeper hits of the 1980s, uh, would not exist if it were not for Predator.
It's just part of the legend,
It's great.
part of the lore.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that, Marv. We're about to talk about that. Oh my god, I'm so sleepy.
Oh, he's a sleepy boy.
um, best action slash fight sequence. Is it really a question?
It's not really a question. Go ahead and answer it.
The final conflict between Dutch and the Predator. I now I s-
I absolutely love when he hits him with the log and he just goes shit.
yeah.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
That whole sequence is great. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I basically I put it down as just I put it down as like the whole conflict. Obviously, oh yeah,
I'm right here, come get me. I'm right here.
obviously honorable mention. Marv has to go out to Carl Weathers getting his arm blown off. That was really cool.
Rest in
Um,
peace.
that was a really good scene. That's a really good scene for what I was talking about earlier about subverting expectations because you've got Dylan going in there to fuck shit up with his two
With two
machine guns,
guns.
and he got blasted. He got absolutely cooked.
Immediately.
Um, but the final conflict between Dutch and the Predator is, in my opinion, is probably the highlight of the movie. Um,
Pure
'Cause
cinema.
it's true cinema. It's really good. It's basically what people love. You've got Arnold being reduced to cat and mouse games, just trying to stay alive. You know, that's very rare because I mean he was just coming off of Commando, um, where he was just like uber badass, could mow down like 100 guys. Going into this movie where he basically plays a similar character doing the same thing, but then now has to work his ass off not to get absolutely throttled by the predator. And then that whole sequence where he's using like bow and arrows, subterfuge. It's very First Blood to a degree because he has to
It
use.
sounds like Arnold just needed to let off some steam.
He had to let off some steam, Bennett.
It's
I can't wait to talk about Command. There's so many. There's so many to
so
talk about.
that's
We're just getting
the
started.
perfect example of why cheese is good.
Yeah. No, it's great. But
Man, there's
yeah,
a whole block of cheese.
I'm glad we can like agree on that though, on the best action slash fight sequence. Um,
Oh yeah, it wasn't even a question.
uh, Now we're getting into our acting categories. Overacting Anonymous category where we talk about our favorite over actors of the movie. Who do you got?
I had I don't know if it's overacting, but I had the Bill Duke scene where he's dry shaving, and then he like, or it's Bill Duke, but the
Yeah,
shaving scene is actually pretty awesome. So I'm gonna instead say whenever he whenever he gives Carl Weathers the
where he like threatens to gut him.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
like when they're hiding
Oh
from the
yeah, no,
predator.
when he pulls him, yeah, when he pulls him down,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's just like, it's right there.
Yeah. He goes, "I see you."
Yeah.
Dude, he kills it in this movie. He's
What's
probably my
his crazy?
favorite. He's probably my favorite. I
It's like
had him as an honorable mention.
for Jesse Ventura.
Or Jesse Ventura. Yeah, Jesse Ventura was my first pick as
He's doing,
Blaine.
he's doing yeah, he's doing the full wrestler, like
Yes.
pro wrestler get up, where he's just being loud, being
Yeah.
proud, being big.
Yeah. It's so funny to think that Jesse Ventura is in this movie playing the character he's playing, and then at some point in the future he would go on to be the governor of Minnesota.
Two governors in this movie.
Two
Almost
governors,
three.
two former governors in this movie. It's so
Almost
crazy.
three.
Almost three. But I love Jesse Ventura's
Sonny Liston,
character.
almost
I love the fact that he's got, the big minigun that they had to like create specifically for this movie. Um, I love his
oh,
character.
here's a funny another thing that I noticed for the first time on this watch through, before he unbags the Gatling gun, he just has it in a bag that's in front of him, and they're running around with it.
Yeah.
In earlier shots, like
Yeah.
before he unbags it, you can just see it's on his person but covered up. And I
Yeah.
was just like, in there this whole time. He's like wearing it like it's a fanny pack and stuff while holding like a small gun.
So stupid. It's great. No, it's awesome. And I also love to talk about like Bill Duke for a second because I mean I'm just gonna mention him again. Uh, the
Oh, he's
scene where he's
wonderful.
like shaving, he's like dry shaving, was apparently 100% improvised.
Oh yeah, I mean he's doing it earlier in the movie whenever you're getting the read on everybody's character in the helicopter. He's
Yeah.
doing it, but whenever he breaks it on his face, that yeah, that's awesome.
Is
That's
there
improvised as hell.
is do you think there's any other like mercenary unit in cinema history that's as iconic? Probably like the ones from Aliens, maybe, but
I mean Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you go with like
Probably
comic
the
books and
most.
stuff.
That's probably like the most recent.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not going comic book. This is probably yeah. It has to be like another Alien type movie
it's
or
either this
something
or
similar.
Aliens, I feel.
Yeah,
And this one's like
with
the
Michael
most
Bean.
fresh. Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like this. I really like this team. This cast of guys is just great. Um, every one of them is iconic. Every one of them has like their own thing that they got going on. I really like
And I
it.
love the Full House ending
Yeah, yeah, where everybody's like all cool and
where they're
stuff.
just like, it just goes Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, yeah, like where like it's doing like the credits and it's
Yeah,
doing the roll call.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's good. I love that.
Just like Full House.
Um, getting into our next category, we got Spotlight Cameo, where we talk about our favorite cameos. This one was actually really hard for me.
Yeah.
I usually bust ass coming up with a good cameo, but I couldn't find a good one for this movie. But I did write something down. I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't even really try because I was like nobody really has a cameo, but I the only one that I was like even thinking is that Peter or Kevin Peter Hall shows up at the very end in the helicopter as like a military person
Yeah,
after they'd killed a predator.
that's
That was
that's
the
the
only
one I
thing I
wrote
had.
down. That's the one I wrote down too.
Hmm.
Kevin Peter Hall is Black Helicopter Pilot in the credits. I think he's uncredited for that. He was uncredited as the Predator, but he was credited for Black Helicopter Pilot. Because they were trying to keep it mystery due to mystery.
Mystery.
He's obviously the Predator in this movie, and he's the Predator in Predator 2. And he was also in another famous movie he was in was he played Harry from the movie Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh,
Yeah, which is obviously uh, similar to this role, only in that he dons the costume of a monster with an animatronic head. So,
so he's
um,
even bigger.
but is even bigger. Okay, so Spotlight cameo, that was that. Up next is Second Comers, the category where we talk about our favorite actor other than the lead actor Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I had
I,
Bill Duke as Mac was my first pick. I love him. And my second pick was Carl Weathers as Dylan because I'm a huge Carl Weathers fan. R.I.P.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna say either Jesse Ventura if we were being funny, but if not, we're going with Dylan, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Carl Weathers kills it in this movie. I love his
Yeah,
redemption
he's
arc
so good.
too. He's got a really
Hmm.
good redemption arc
After
in
he
this.
sold him out,
After he sold him out, you
he sold him out.
you set us up.
You set us up.
Yeah, no,
You know it.
he definitely he sacrificed at the end there. Um, but yeah, no, he killed it in that role. Moving on, this is our last category. We got movie memories. Talk about our favorite memories relating to this movie. I'll let you go first.
Well, I did step on it a little bit earlier, but around, and I was gonna say this whenever we did Terminator, but I'm positive that within the same weekend that I watched The Terminator, I watched Predator on cable like the same weekend. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Where I was like, I've heard these movies' names before. I've seen like pop culture references, but I've never actually like seen what the movies look like or who's in them or whatever. Funnily enough, it was Arnold in both of them. That was a shock.
Hmm.
Uh, but at the I very specifically remember, like I was saying earlier, that I didn't know it was going to be an alien. Like I thought that they were like running from actual like predators or something. That they were military guys going through the jungle, and it wasn't until like the cloaked figure or the uh, infrared vision and stuff that I was like, oh,
You're like
it might be
something's
something a little bit more devious
yeah,
than a
very
jungle animal.
suspicious.
But I remember being like it started before the sun went down. Then with all commercials and stuff, the sun was down. I had my little blankie. I was scared that Arnold was gonna get.
It's an intense scene when you're a kid.
And now it's just become a lifelong thing. I've watched every single one. I saw the Predators and the Predator in theaters. I really like them. I
Yep.
really enjoy Prey a lot. I think Prey is
Oh,
like the second best one.
Prey is great. Prey is so good.
I could sit here and talk about Prey for an hour.
We probably will at some point in the future.
Oh,
We could probably in the
I'll talk
future.
about all of them, but two.
You don't want to talk about two? No, we have to talk about two.
I mean, I will, but I just don't. Two is the only one that I just pretend like doesn't exist.
We should.
I love Donald or Danny Glover.
Yeah.
I almost said Donald Glover. Uh, I love Danny Glover. I just two is just not that good.
I understand. No, I sympathize. Because obviously nothing compares to this first one. This is lightning in a bottle.
But I like all of them.
I feel like Prey is the
I like all of them.
closest.
Two is just the only one I don't care about. Two
I
is the or Prey is the best sequel. I feel like.
Yes, and there's other ones that I don't necessarily care for or put on the same pedestal, like Predators with Adrian Brody.
Mhm.
That was probably the most forgettable. Um, the Predator, as I already mentioned, Alien versus Predator, Predator in New York
I
with
really
Predator
like I
2.
really like AVP one.
AVP 1 is okay. AVP 2 kind of just like shits the bed a little bit.
It's just
Um,
a horror movie.
yeah, but not even like a good one.
No, no, it's
It's
just
just
that
a movie.
early that like it's just a horror movie that happens to feature fox monsters.
Yeah. Um, I think they were, and then Prey, like we already said, and then of course I think they're working on something else in the future.
I
But
think they're working on a samurai predator movie right now. Is
that,
what I've seen.
that's what I heard. I just don't know how. I just don't. Yeah, I mean, like unless I see a teaser or unless I hear something
Mhm.
directly from somebody,
No, of course.
I won't. I can't believe it.
They all of the things that I've read is that the new idea is just drop predator in time period,
Which is a
like
good
X time
idea.
period.
Which is a good
I
idea.
love that idea. That's what they should have just been doing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm glad that they finally found some kind of footing and like a direction to go with the series,
Mhm.
because it always felt like for years all they were doing was, well, what if we just put the predator in like a different position? Like, let's put the predator in a new place, or put the predator up against a specific person or a specific
Mhm.
other creature. Like, Predator 1 is in the jungle. Predator 2, let's move it to New York. Um, AVP, hey, let's have the predator in the tundra in like the Arctic fighting an alien. And then
Well,
AVP is like,
xenomorph.
well, what if we put AVP 2 is Requiem? It's Requiem, right? Alien versus Predator
Yeah, yeah.
Requiem. Let's
Mhm.
put the predator in the suburbs. And then Predators with Adrian Brody is like, let's do Predator, but on the Predator home planet, right? Which is a cool
Hunting
idea.
ground.
Which is a cool
It
idea.
just doesn't hit.
It just doesn't hit. It's not executed well. And then the Predator is, what if we have the Predator in pretty much, because I mean they have to go back
You know,
to like regular
super
cities and
meta.
suburbs and stuff like that. Let's have
Yeah.
the Predator versus a super Predator. Wouldn't that be badass?
First versus a new team of psycho killers,
Yeah.
and then
Um,
let's have it be super meta and fourth wall breaking the whole time.
and then let's not have it go anywhere. Let's have whatever
Hmm.
sequel it's set up never fucking exist. And they scrap it and they're just
Uh,
like, let's just do Prey.
hey, I'm glad.
I'm glad we eventually
I'm
got around to doing what
I'm
we were doing.
glad. I'm glad that we got here how we did, and I wouldn't change a thing.
I agree.
Except for Predator 2.
I will have to rewatch Predator 2 to agree with you or not. It's been years.
You're not gonna like it.
uh, I'll put it on the back burner for now. We got other things going on, um, but yeah, I mean the how I feel. My movie memories about this movie are interesting because I've probably seen this movie I don't know how many times. I always have a positive experience with this movie, But and this is what's so funny about my movie memories is it usually pertains to like how I consume the media. Like when I have a DVD of this movie. One of the first times I watched this movie beginning to end was on this DVD I had. It was like an Arnold Schwarzenegger collection, and it was like Total Recall, True Lies, and Predator, which is like a banger
Great
of
trio.
it's a
Great
it's a
trio.
banger of a trio. Um, the
A little
problem
bit of everything.
it's science fiction and it's monster movie, and then there's like spy thriller. It's fucking killer. Um,
A lot of comedy, a lot of thrills and drama.
it was a fucking heater. You know, you put that DVD in, you got a fucking weekend on your hands. Um, but the thing that sucked about the DVD is the audio mixing was super fucked up. And I've seen this in like I don't know how many DVDs. The audio mixing was fucked up because whenever they would talk, it would be really, really quiet. So you'd have to turn the volume
That's
up
how
on
the
the
movie
TV.
I have
Exactly.
is.
You'd have to turn the volume up on the TV just so you could hear it. But then once it gets to like the shooting and like the explosions and stuff, then all of a sudden it's fucking blasting, and you're trying to watch this movie late at night while your parents are asleep or your wife's asleep or something, and the next thing you know, it's just fucking blaring, shaking the fucking pictures off the wall. So that's the only thing. That's like what I remember most with
I
this
just,
movie.
I just, what's really funny, I got this as a gift forever ago. Somebody just gave me Goonies, Deliverance, Predator, a bunch of just old DVDs that were probably in a Walmart bin or something. And I
Right.
just brand new for just opened this Predator DVD because I didn't want to look through streaming and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, DVDs used to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so
Where the
strange.
mixing is bad.
The mixing is so bad on some DVDs, which is why when I was rewatching it on streaming, I was watching it on Amazon Prime. Um, it was just really interesting because I was like, wow, this is mixed perfectly.
This is exactly how it should be.
This is exactly streaming is
Perfect.
just killing
Now it's the
everything.
last time we did it.
Ugh. Anyway, I've got some fun little tidbits here. I just wanted to briefly get into some small talking points about
Oh,
it.
I'm glad about the tidbits.
I
Hit me with the
basically
tidbits.
one of the things I really loved, and this is so specific, but I really loved how whenever like I love the sound effect whenever the camera switches between like our regular POV and then it switches to the predator's POV where it's
Mm-hmm.
like
This.
I really love that sound effect.
It's so
and
good.
and I looked into it and I loved it so much. I love the sound design in this movie overall. That sound effect was like what really like drew me to it. And I wanted to give credit to supervising sound effects editor Richard L. Anderson. And I had never heard of this guy before, but apparently he worked in the sound department for movies like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Poltergeist, and The Lion King, which are just some of
And
like
very iconic sound design in movies.
super iconic sound design for these movies. So I was just like I thought that was really interesting because it's always one of those things where like I never noticed how much I like such a minute sound effect in a movie before until I just literally sat there by myself and was watching it. And on this rewatch, I was like, damn, dude, that's such an effective sound effect. And it's funny because I was watching the movie and I had my 4-month old sitting on the couch next to me and she was asleep. And
You're
it would,
showing her Predator already?
and I had Predator on,
4 months alive. You
and
gotta watch Predator.
and like she's asleep, and then the sound effect like happens where it like does like the POV switch, and it was like so abrupt, and I guess I had the volume too loud because it like woke her up briefly, just like that one sound effect, and I was like, oh dude,
She
this is
loved.
amazing.
She like. She passed it on to her. She just went. I like.
She's
I
like, oh
like
shit,
whatever
that's
that
amazing.
was.
That was
He goes
great.
back to sleep.
Um, so also branching off into sound, do you know what do you know what they call the iconic sound that the predator makes?
No, I do not.
They call it wickering. So when the predator does like its weird like chitter chatter whatever it does, it's actually referred to as wickering.
Interesting. Is it
Yeah.
because it's just got the appendage things?
Probably.
The
I think that's
mandible?
just like how they refer to it as. Um,
Interesting.
but the person who did the Wickering is a voice actor who we should all know. His name is Peter Cullen. Peter Cullen is the voice of the Predator. He came up with the idea for Wickering because he looked at the design and he was like, "What kind of sound does this fucking thing make?" And so he came up with the idea for Wickering because he said the Predator looks somewhat insectoid with its mandibles, so it makes sense that the Predator would come up with some, weird name, weird sound that seems like something a insect would make, right? Like a cricket. Um, and if you guys don't know who Peter Cullen, he's most famous as the voice actor for Optimus Prime.
Oh, our, our guy.
Yeah,
Autobots.
yeah, he's that guy. um,
He's the guy that starts talking right before Linkin Park plays.
yes, he's pretty badass. Um,
Whoa!
we already mentioned the Predator has 8 minutes of screen time total in the movie. Predator on screen. Um, this is really interesting. Arnold was in the middle of getting married to Maria Shriver during filming, which actually caused production delays.
Everybody's waiting on Arnold in the 80s.
Yeah, it was funny because apparently he had to leave to do the reception for his wedding. So he was gone for like however many days, and then he got married, and his honeymoon only lasted 3 days, and then he came back to finish the movie. And apparently it caused tension between him and Shriver because it kind of, I guess to her, it kind of seemed like he was putting the movie ahead of his marriage, which
Before
is
his,
kind of
yeah,
true. I guess that's why they didn't last long.
that's amazing.
But yeah, anyway. Oh, this is a really good one. This is my last talking point that I have written down, but I thought this one was a fucking heater. Um, Shane Black, the guy that plays Hawkins, is actually a screenwriter who, during his free time in the making of this movie, he was writing The Last Boy Scout, which came out in
Wow.
1991, and Lethal Weapon, 1987.
That's what I. That's what I was just guessing. I was like, I know he wrote Lethal Weapon, and it
He
was around this
he
time.
wrote Lethal Weapon. Joel Silver, who I believe was also the producer on Lethal Weapon, was producer for this movie too. Uh, he wanted to be really close to Shane Black so they could go over the script for Lethal Weapon, make any changes and such. Um, Lethal Weapon, obviously another banger of the 1980s in terms of action movies. We'll get to that one. That's just another one that's on the list. We're gonna get to
Hey, I want to wait till then, but I can't. Do you know what one of the funniest things that's in Shane Black's script for Lethal Weapon is?
what?
Whenever he's the like opening shot of the big old house that the lady jumps from,
Yeah.
in the script it says and exterior shot giant house, the kind of house that I'm going to buy whenever I sell this script.
That's so funny.
And I just love that that's in there.
That's pretty. That's a good one. Shane Black's a good writer. Um,
He's really funny.
he's really funny, and it's funny to think that he's acting in this movie, and then later in life he would go on to direct The Predator in 2018. So I just think it comes full circle. I think
It's
that's
just a
really
great
fascinating.
it's a great full circle moment. I love it. And it's so funny. It's so good. It's so bad but so good.
It is, but I think it works. I think it works. Um, let's see here. See if I had anything else written down, like in terms of like I took some screenshots here. Let's see here. Oh, this one's interesting. Because this was the first Predator movie, only the thermal vision and infrared vision was shown from the Predator's point of view. However, Predator 2 introduced many other vision modes for the Predator. But with good attention to details, you can get hints that the Predator has different vision modes even in this movie. The Predator can obviously see and avoid the tripwires that are hidden everywhere in the forest, which would actually not be visible if the Predator only used thermal vision. The Predator can also see whether the soldiers are armed, indicating the Predator has a different vision to detect solid metal. So it's kind of hinted at, it's just never really like shown. Which I thought was
I love
fascinating.
the attention to detail.
Very, very nice
Very
attention to
fascinating.
detail. Yeah. Um, but I think that's about it in terms of like those talking points. We can just kind of like shoot the shit about the movie now if you want to.
Oh, great, 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 great. How awesome do those bodies that are skinned look?
They look really good. I'm assuming that was also Stan Winston and Company.
Has to be.
Oh
It
my
looks so
god.
incredible.
You know what I forgot to mention in Cutting Room Floor?
What?
I
What did you forget to
wish
mention?
I wish that they had included a fight between Sonny Landham's Billy and the Predator.
It's really funny because that's how Prey was made.
Yeah.
The guy who directed or wrote Prey, I forget which one it was. I believe it was directed. He was told by a friend when they were before he had seen the movie that there was a scene in the original movie, which was the Sonny Landon scene, that a Native American fought the Predator by a waterfall. And that's what his friend had told him when they were little. And then whenever he saw the movie, he was like, "That scene's not in the movie," which inspired him to eventually make Prey.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny too because I've heard people apparently it's a rumor that went around for a while that apparently they did film the scene between Billy and the Predator, but they cut it
I
for
have heard
time.
the rumor.
But apparently it's just a straight up rumor. It never actually it was always intended for him to be killed off screen. Which I think is a shame because I think more confrontations between the predator and his prey would have made for good screen time. Um,
Of course. Budgetary
because
requirements.
I mean it's but it also speaks to the power of the predator that he kills so swiftly and so indiscriminately to so many
And
guys.
that's
Like Jesse
crazy.
Ventura's character, he gets like shot through the chest and he's like dead instantly.
hmm Just shoots him twice and he's out.
Yeah. Um, I also think one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie is probably the scene where like Mac sees the predator. This is like right after Blaine dies. And so like Mac is just like he's losing his shit. He's going crazy. And he sees the predator, like he sees his eyes flash, and I just love how he grabs the Gatling gun, the minigun, and he just starts unloading into the space of the forest. And all the other guys, they like hear what's going on and they rush in, no questions asked, and they
None.
also just start
You
unloading.
just unload. It's
that's
amazing.
that scene always makes me laugh because it's just so silly that these guys are just going hog wild on
Yeah.
absolutely
Like
nothing.
he's shooting that way.
It's so funny. It's just there's
It's the
nothing
best. And they hit it
there.
once.
Oh no, it's a great scene. It's my favorite scene. I guess if I were to
All of that
also
for a drop of blood.
yeah, all that for just a drop of blood. No, it's good shit. And I think one of my other favorite things about this movie, but like I guess in terms of like my favorite scenes, would have to be um the scene where Arnold figures out that the predator can't see him with the mud on. I think that's just like
He can't see me.
he can't see me. I
He
think the
can't see me.
and then of course like the follow up scene right after that where both the predator and Arnold are like getting ready for the final conflict. I thought that was really cool. I I I think that scene is super cool because any scene where we get to see what the predator is doing in his free time in between killing all these people, I think is really fascinating. Like
It's the
whenever
one scene we're missing. Like Jason and Michael Myers movies and stuff is the one in between shot.
exactly like where we get like a little glimpse of like what's
Uh,
going through their head without them having to actually say anything.
exactly.
Like I like how like when the predator is um like he got shot so he's trying to like heal himself. I love that sequence where he just like whips out an alien first aid kit basically
Yeah, yeah.
and he starts like healing himself. I always think that's so cool because like we have no idea like what he's doing, but he's
Mhm.
doing something that like we can tell is like medical related, but we don't know what any of that stuff
Mhm.
does. But we
Oh,
know,
it's even better in the second one.
yeah, like where he has
There's
to like
there's
break up that sink or something.
yeah, he like breaks up the concrete or the wall or the sink or something and
The
mixes it
porcelain, yeah,
together.
yeah.
Yeah, the
He mixes it
porcelain.
into the
That's what it was.
sink. He gets like the mirror glass or something. He gets like all this shit, and you don't know what it is, and he puts it into the sink. And then he like
He
mixes it up,
like
and that's
cauterizes his arm or
he
something.
Carter. He gets like this huge needle out, and he sticks it into himself. Oh man, no, that's really cool.
It's so
And
great.
that scene later on, like when they're like prepping for the final battle, and like the predator rips out. Yeah, that's an iconic shot too. Is like when the predator rips out Billy's like spine and skull and stuff, and just like whipping it around. And then and it's again like he's doing something like it's like his version of cleaning the bones, where he like gets out that mist or whatever he does, and he like sprays it down.
The little xenomorph blood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's really cool too. That fits into that category of just like things that I think are cool that I don't fully understand like why they're doing it. Um, and then probably my last favorite thing of that is just how at the end when the predator is like dying, he's just like, you know what? Fuck you, Arnold. And he turns on his wrist bomb.
It's so good.
I love that.
It's the most petty way to lose.
It really is. It's the pettiest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I love how Arnold takes like a good like 20 seconds just like staring at it before he realizes
It's so
it's a fucking bomb.
wait a minute. That's a countdown, I think.
Oh. Yeah, no, that shit is funny. That shit is so funny whenever the Predator does that. Because it really is just like I think what the explanation is supposed to be in like the canon is that, or this maybe this is just my head canon making this up, like the predators whenever they go to like other worlds and stuff, they have those wrist bombs on them specifically so that if they die they have to blow themselves up, either as like part of their culture, like they can't let their bodies, like if they die in battle they have to destroy their bodies as like a cultural thing, or they do so that whoever killed them can't enjoy the spoils of their body, right? Like you know how like when the predator kills somebody, they always like take their
Yeah.
skull. So maybe when the predator dies, it's kind of like a an honor thing where they don't want that to happen to them.
In the Predator Concrete Jungle video game, the canon that I remember is that they can't leave any evidence of themselves.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like they don't.
And there's a scene where the predator you're playing, the predator you are playing in the video game leaves evidence or something and he gets banished or something.
Mm, okay.
And that's so my canon has always been that they can't leave any trace of them behind, because then in the second one he doesn't have access to his wrist bomb and they like come get his body.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
And then the same thing in AVP, he throws his wrist bomb and then dies and they come get his body.
Oh, yeah. I mean that checks actually. Or like in Predator 2, when the predator dies and then they show up and they take his
Mhm.
body
They show up and come get his body. That's what I mean. Like that happens like at least twice in the
in the
series.
series. Yeah, it does not happen in Prey though, does it?
No, it just goes back into the swamp, but that might be why they
That
started doing
that
it.
makes sense. They started doing it because of that. That what if that was the first time a predator had ever actually
That
like
could have been
died?
also. There's a funny thing in one of the comic books that I read. I forget which one it was, where the predators think that Earth is like the ultimate battleground,
Hmm.
but it's just because they keep fucking up and getting killed by like somebody like outsmarting them just a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
So like the predators are like, this is the only planet that kills us. You
yeah.
have to go there to be like the ultimate warrior, and then they get there and be like, all of these guys, these smushy little. So they get killed by their own hubris almost because they hear all these stories and then they come there and are just like, oh, these guys, little squishy meat stuff.
That tracks. That tracks. Because I mean, it's interesting because like when I watch this movie, it kind of seems like whenever the Predator is like down to clown with Arnold, like whenever like it gets to Arnold feed the Predator straight up, the Predator does just
Mm-hmm.
kind of start just throwing hands. It's
Yeah,
almost
and takes his protective helmet off,
he takes his
stops
helmet off,
cloaking,
stops cloaking, his cloaking stops working, um, and he gets to
he
a
puts the
point,
blades away.
puts the blades away. He's not using any other kind of weaponry, and he's just like, you know what? My prey is unarmed, but I still have to kill him. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make it even. It's almost like he's in the Predator's head. He's trying to make it even. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's another thing I really like about the Predator as like a concept is that it's a movie monster, but it's like sentient. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a
He's got his own rules.
he's got his own rules. He's got his own thought process. Like I love
He's
how
own, they have their own code of honor almost.
he honored him as a worthy opponent, which is very true. Is very true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a good way of articulating what I was thinking is that he's like, you know what, I'm willing to go mano a mano here versus this guy because this guy's proven himself as a capable warrior. And I've
He's
always
outsmarted me a few times.
he's outsmarted me a few times. He's gotten, he's lived some of the stuff that I put him through. Um, so I think that checks out. I think that, oh, dude, another funny scene in this movie. I don't mean to like totally like change courses.
Are you going to talk about the scorpion?
No, I was gonna talk about the no, the scorpion scene is funny, but I was gonna talk about another great Bill Duke scene where he like thinks it's like in the middle of the night he thinks the predator's on him and he just starts like stabbing the shit out of this
Oh,
pig.
out of the boar.
He's killing
I
this
forgot that.
pig and the effect, I will say this, it's probably the worst effect in the movie because it is the fakest looking pig I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's probably it's great. And when the guys come through and they got like they're shining their flashlights, and Mac is just like, "I got you, son of a bitch, I got you," and all the guys are just like, "Yeah, you sure got that pig," and he's like, "Fuck you, man."
Look, you
Oh man, I love that shit. Oh no, but this movie's great. I really can't. I don't know if there. I really can't say anything more about this
iconic.
movie.
I love it so much.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, not really. I was just gonna say I'm kind of disappointed we didn't do this uh 2 weeks ago because it would have been one of the anniversaries, and it would have been.
Oh,
We gotta start looking up the release dates on some of them because I'm looking at it right now and I'm like June 12th. Oh, we could have done this like the last time or the week before,
oh, I
and it would have
know.
been like whatever.
Well,
That's silly.
I
That's all
know.
right.
Of course, it happened to happen as I was out of town last week.
Hmm.
So stupid.
Yeah. So we couldn't have done it, but it would have been nice to be like, oh look for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Unfort.
Unfortunate, more room for thought. But I just want to say that I love this movie. I love the theory, and I'm happy to talk about any of them with you.
Well, yeah, man. Anyway, so I'm the same way. Um, so that pretty much does it for this episode of Action Jack-Offs. Make sure you guys, if you want to, check out the upload. It's going to be uploaded on YouTube the next day. So tomorrow is when this goes up. Um, Also, be looking forward to next week's episodes when we're going to be talking about Die Hard, the next John McTiernan directed movie on the channel. We're going to be talking about. Just make sure you rewatch it for that, so you guys can come in fresh like we are for that episode. And I'm really looking forward to that one because I really love Die Hard.
Best Christmas movie ever.
Yeah, I agree. But anyway, that's it for us. We're gonna go ahead and just check out here. Short stream, but I mean, really, there's not a whole lot you can say about Predator other than just praise the shit out of it. So,
Exactly. Like, comment, subscribe, share the love, kisses.
all right, we'll see you guys later. Peace.